The Camaro is a staple in the muscle car industry, and today I am lucky enough to have one with me. We have a 2023 1SS Camaro upfitted with the 1LE package, and I'm here to tell you if it's worth your money or you should just go a little bit bigger. My name's Jason, and you're watching Got an Eggs. The first thing we're going to talk about with this car is going to be the upfits that the 1LE package gets in the front, which is going to be this black hood as well as this black splitter up front. It also just has a more aggressive look to it. A lot of the newer Camaros kind of fall into that thing of having like a weird front grille. This one kind of fixes that with these little extra white pieces to kind of narrow it down and make it look a little bit more aggressive. The headlights are really sharp looking, as well as you get the black Chevy badge as well as the SS logo right here. Now let's move on to the side and we're going to talk about some of the other additions. Now onto the side of the Camaro, we're going to touch real quick on the color of the car. This is the Summit White, and I think it pairs very nicely with the black accents that you get with the 1LE package, including these black side mirrors, which I think honestly do really well. I personally am not the biggest fan of the white color, but I think with this package it does work. As well, to show people you got the 1LE variant of this car, you do have the 1LE badge here instead of the normal standard Camaro logo. On top of that, you do get some better brake calibers. Your rims are completely black, as well as you have 285s in the front and 305s in the back to wrap up the side. Let's move on to the back and see what's going on back there. There's not too much that changes in the back. You do get the standard SS logo, you have your black Chevy logo, as well as you do have these rear headlights that are really cool looking. In my opinion, they give kind of a nice feel and wrap together for the car. But the big thing that comes with this car in the back that is a change is going to be these dual tipped exhausts that you do get for this car. It sounds like no other. Why don't you just give it a quick listen here? Now that, in my opinion, is one of the greatest things about this car, but I'm going to tell you one thing that isn't that great about this car, which is going to be its cargo space. You can pop this trunk open right here with your key. There's no button to press, but I'm telling you, there is 9.3, 9.2 cubic feet of storage in this trunk. It's not a lot to work with. Me personally, I don't think you're fitting much in this car. It's definitely a lot more for looks and fun driving than it is for storing stuff. Now, this is where a lot of the fun on the Camaro begins. We're going to pop this hood here and we are going to take a look at this 6.2 liter V8 engine that is paired to a 10-speed automatic that makes 455 horsepower, which honestly is amazing. I think this is one of the Camaro's best selling points, being the driving experience with this beast of an engine behind the wheel. I think it is so much fun, and looks wise, I know for a lot of people that doesn't matter, but this hood cover is amazing. It has the Camaro logo on it, and it really does bring the car together, and I think it looks amazing. It's probably a top part of this car, maybe even the absolute best. We're gonna go inside and we're gonna see what this car is missing. Now, sadly, on the interior of the 1SS Camaro is kind of where it starts to fall a little bit short. With the upfit, you do get things like the suede leather shifter, you get it on the steering wheel, you get it on the bucket seats, which these Recaro bucket seats are so comfy that I'm willing to take a few points off of what else this car is lacking just for how nice these seats are in general. But going forward, there are a few things that are just missing. This car's infotainment system isn't the best. It's not fantastic. It isn't unresponsive, but it's definitely not the best organized one. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which isn't a bad thing. You have a pretty honestly cheap feeling dash. You do have some like pseudo leatherish feeling right here, but it's really hard. It just feels like plasticky, and it's not the best thing ever. You have also with the upfit though, you do get a HUD, which is really nice. I do personally like the HUD. While the heads-up display is really nice, I feel like the gauge cluster is lacking. This is kind of a more outdated one. It's not a fully digital one. I don't know if that's really specific for this model, but I've seen a lot of other Camaros that kind of just still have a more analog one. I do think that it's a little bit outdated. I think there's some minor things missing, like this car doesn't really tell you how much fuel you have left. You still have like the bar, there's not a number. You have to like go into your settings to find it. Just little things like that that really make me feel like this car is a little bit worse in the long run. You have some things that I think are really necessary in a car like this that is also lacking. The rear view mirror, or the mirrors, do not have blind spot detection, and if you've ever been in a Camaro, I promise you it might have the worst blind spot of any car I've had the pleasure of being in. It is so abhorrently bad that you can turn your neck and you still can't see anything out your windows. So having that little bit of extra safety and, reassurance is really nice in a car like this. I know that's not a deal breaker for most people, but it is something that is included in the higher trim level models, as well as heated and cooled seats are not in this car, as well as this car also doesn't have dual zone climate control. I feel like it's very weird to see a car that is this brand new that is really just single zone climate control, because that's just inconvenient for both you and your passenger. You know, if you like different temperatures, what are you going to do? Another thing that's really lacking in this car is going to be storage space as well. This is the most pathetic looking storage space I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't even think I could fit my phone. I just can't fit my phone. There's no wireless charger, nothing like that. Other than that, though, it is a comfortable car to be in. I will give it that, but it definitely lacks a lot of the features that will make you feel like you're in a modern car. Now let's talk about the real fun part about the 1SS Camaro and the 1LE editions, everything like that. This car is tailored towards the driving experience. So driving this car, immediately we're in track mode. This is a track package. You can hear that exhaust roaring. It is awesome sounding. You can hear it just building up. It's really, really cool. I think we're just gonna accelerate. We're just gonna see how it feels a little bit, get that feel. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This car definitely delivers on the driving experience. Yes, it's lacking in features. Yes, it's not as like up to standards with modern equipment and things along those lines, but it is definitely a driving car. Listen to that exhaust roar. This thing is amazing. I will say wholeheartedly, this might just be one of the best cars that it is just driving wise. I think Chevy did a really, really good job with this. The car does have really, really tight turning. The steering feels like on point. Like I feel like I could do like mountain driving high speed in this thing, because it is definitely one of those kind of cars. Like you get in this and you just feel the power and the rush. Like we can go woo! Like actually, this is a really awesome car to drive. I don't really have many complaints besides what I touched about when we talked about the interior, which is definitely going to be the blind spots that are with this car. You cannot see anything out of this car. There is barely any visibility. Like if I'm used to driving in these kind of cars, but you have to like tuck your head, and like even when you do a full like 90-degree turn of your head, you cannot see out of your back left window because there's a divider bar in the middle, and you are just completely screwed out of that. But other than that, I do not think that this car has anything really bad. There are going to be a couple different drive modes that you can be in. We're in track right now, and I think track is definitely the most fun, especially with all the new additions that the 1LE offers. But if we put it in sport, which is probably going to be not your go-to everyday driving mode, but if you just want to be a little bit faster, you get an exhaust that isn't as powerful as the track mode, but it definitely does feel good. This is still tighter steering. I feel like nothing is a complaint about that part. The last mode it's nothing really crazy. It's just going to be your tour mode, which is meant for if you're doing daily driving and like, you know, going around the city, going to work, clocking in, doing what you need to do. But it is definitely still a fun time to drive. Me personally, it's going to kill your gas mileage. This thing does not get that good of gas mileage. I think this one is getting about 16 miles per gallon, which honestly is pretty bad. On a full tank, or almost a full tank, like 99% full, we had about 227 miles, which is pretty bad. You're gonna have to fill this thing up constantly. But for the amount of fun it is, I think it's worth it. And if you want to drive it in the most fun way, you put it in tour mode and you don't care about your gas mileage and you just are happy. Because that's how I feel in this car. It's definitely a great drive, and I wholeheartedly don't think the Mustang or the Challenger compare to this. This is an unmatched feeling, and you definitely feel like you have complete control. Now, is this car worth the money? Well, that's a hard one, because for me, personally, I think I'm gonna have to say no. And don't get me wrong, this is an amazing car. I personally love the Camaro. It's one of my favorite cars ever created. I'm a little biased when it comes to it, but that's why I can confidently sit here and tell you that this car is not worth it, because the 2SS is just better. A lot of the features that you get in this car, even with the 1LE package, do not really mesh up and pass the SS or the 2SS Camaro. I do think this car has its merits. If you're not going to use this as a daily driver, it's definitely worth it. If you're not going to use this as your everyday vehicle, everything you want to use, and you just want to take this out, go fast, and have a little fun, I think this is a perfect option. But overall, if you want this car to be your daily driver, your only car, the one that you use, and for a hefty price of about $45,000 for this one, $47,000 for a brand new one with this upfit, and a 2SS being $47,000 and change, I think the 2SS is just a more comfortable ride. Either way, I think this car is still awesome nonetheless. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please leave a like. We'll see you in the next one.